Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode 205. Today is November 11th. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me, as always, the man, the myth, the man, Drew Montemay.
That was pretty good. It's almost the end of the year. I feel like it took forever to get here, and now it's just flying.
Yeah, it is cruising pretty quick, and we were just talking, too, that it's finally, it's not cold enough, really, to be wearing sweaters 24/7, but it's finally getting to the point where it's about to cool down, and I think we were talking next week is going to be like finally in the 60s, and I'm like, dude, yes. Now windows can be open. I'm not dying of heat, but do you want to mention your tattoo at all?
Oh, I did get a blue eyes tattoo. Maybe I'll throw up a picture or something like that, but I'm kind of like hurting right now, especially more so just because it's peeling, so it's just itching like crazy.
Because you got it done, what, Friday last week, or did you get it done over the weekend?
Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday, yeah, because he showed me a picture of it, dude, and it's pretty badass. I was telling him, I think it's one of my favorite pieces that you have. So yeah, compliments and kudos, my man. What's next for you?
I want to do under my belly button, and then probably do the left side, and then we're gonna redo like a lot of stuff on my chest because I got that done when I was like 20.
Yeah, I feel like you're cruising through tattoos right now, where I'm still stuck on debating what I want to get on my arm because I'm so picky. But it seems like you got your format ready to go.
You just gotta jump in, bro, and
You gotta get them feet wetter because I still kind of want to work on my leg, but I want to know what Geno wants to do with the other calf because we have one that's shared between him, Ray, and my dad. I want to know what the next one is. I want to get those kind of done.
And once you get hot on one side, sure enough, PPY right down there.
PPY right down the other. So guys, thank you for joining us today. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. If you guys are interested in following us on any of our social media, which we're starting to be more active on, our Linktree link is in the description of the YouTube comment or the descriptions. You can click it there and follow us. And if you guys are listening to the audio-only version of the podcast, you can find us on your podcast platform of choice. Now, before Andrew and I dive into our main topics, we like to do What Are You Up To? Where we take a second, talk about what we've been playing, what we've been watching. So, Andrew, my good fellow, what have you been up to?
As far as what I've been playing, I'm not going to go too long on it. I'm still playing Metaphor, but I feel like I'm pretty sure that I'm on the back nine. I was telling Craig, I looked up like a guide because it's not like it's a game. It's not like Persona 5 or Final Fantasy Part 2 or something like that. So if it said, oh, you're going to Jumbo Land, I wouldn't know what that is anyway. So it's not like really a surprise. So I'm like, okay, I'm here. Like, where do I have left to go? So I have like a tiny chunk left. And I was telling him, too, I was like, I almost called out today because I was playing last night, and I hit a super critical, like, really good part of the story. And I'm like, damn, like, I don't want to put this down. And there's been a few moments like that where, like, I'm really enjoying the story, and it's really good, and I'm just having a good time. But then things start to ramp up, and I'm like, damn it, like, it's super late, but I'm just going to keep going. I got to see the end of, like, where this is going right now. And I feel like there's a lot of moments like that. So either way, I'm loving this game. As far as what I've been watching, I just watched that the Mr. McMahon documentary that was on Netflix, and I actually really liked it. I think I was a little down on it at first because you and me had talked about it because I know you had seen it, and you were saying, oh, it's a lot of rehash this and that. And when I was watching, I'm like, some of the stuff I knew just from knowing offhand, from reading or whatever, but it's nice to put like a visual something to it. Plus, there was a lot of interviews that I hadn't seen. You can obviously tell some of the ones that they do reuse because it's popular stuff that they reuse in like every documentary, whether it's about like a certain person or something. Mm-hmm. But I felt like there was a lot of new stuff in this one.
Yeah, I feel like the last episode really had more of the stuff I wanted to watch on it. And again, I think it's perfect for someone who knows nothing about it. If you don't know anything about Vince McMahon, this documentary sums it up very nicely. But as far as when I was watching, I'm like, okay, I know this. There's a couple things, like, when it kind of explored more of Shane McMahon stuff, that was kind of cool to know more about things like that. But, again, if you know nothing about it, great documentary. I just think for the people that do, I just felt like a lot of the information was rehashed until, like, the last episode, which is the main stuff I wanted to know about. So, and it was a lot of good stuff.
I feel like for me, and maybe I just enjoyed it more too, because I didn't really get into wrestling.
What's it on? I forget. What's it on?
Netflix.
It's on Netflix, okay.
Because I didn't get into wrestling until just before the Attitude Era took off, and so I didn't watch like WCW or anything. I knew what they were, and I knew who people were. I'd seen some episodes. I didn't follow it a lot, and I had the games and stuff like that. So seeing a lot of that pre-stuff was really cool about the, different territories and how he was taking them over one by one. A lot of that stuff was really cool. But as of right now, they don't really have, like, as far as I've seen, I haven't seen, like, a standalone, an official documentary that's not just somebody highlighting stuff about the Attitude Era. So watching that was, like, the best part, because that's where it, like, really hits home for me, and I think that's my favorite time in wrestling, even the pre-stuff to that, because I'm not a big fan of afterwards with, like, John Cena and stuff like that.
Right, that's where it kind of goes downhill.
So either way, it was really, really good. That, and again, seeing all the weird shit that he does and everything. But it's also funny, too, because it's like, you don't think this weird corporate businessman that was pretending to be this stuff is capable of this stuff this whole time. And I like how he's like, oh, well, there's a difference between Mr. McMahon, the person, Mr. McMahon, the character, but everyone else is like, no, it's like 90% him.
Yeah, he's the same guy. And it was funny, too, where they're like, yeah, it's hard to see that difference. But then you get to see some other people that are like, he's been there for me. He had my back. He paid for my surgery. He helped my wife out. There's people that, like, will take that bullet for him. I mean, regardless of the accusations or not. But that's up for you to decide. But, I mean, there are people that are loyal to him. But, like, when you find out all the creepy stuff that was going on, it's like, yeah, but, I mean, that stuff happens everywhere. But now it's Vince's turn.
Yeah. Either way, if you're remotely interested in watching wrestling at all, I thought it was really good. Even if you are familiar with this stuff, it's presented at least in a different format. And I would say it's actually just done very well, that it's not boring. Because I know we've watched like a couple of video game documentaries where I'm like, I know this stuff, but the way you presented it's really good, so I'm just interested. I'm having a good time, versus you see other ones you're like, I don't know this, but I don't care. This is just boring. Like, the way you're going about this just doesn't make sense, and I'm not enjoying it.
Nice. So, is that everything?
Yeah, you?
As far as what I've been up to, as far as watching, I started watching Gargoyles, which you can find on Disney+. I've been having a hankering for it. I started watching, when Grayson was over here, I tried watching it, but I couldn't, I don't think it was streaming on Disney Plus just yet, so I kept having to find, like, YouTube versions of episodes. But I was cruising through Disney Plus and I saw it on there. I'm like, oh, I want to start it, because it's not something I remember finishing it, even though I do remember a lot of it. But for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Gargoyles is an American animated television series created by Greg Weisman and produced by Weisman and Frank Parr for Walt Disney Television, Animation, and Buena Vista Television, and originally aired from October 24th, 1994 to February 15th, 1997. The series is notable for its relatively dark tone, complex story arcs, and melodrama. Character arcs were heavily employed throughout the series, as well as Shakespearean themes. And then this is kind of what was more interesting of what they did with it. Is Gargoyles video game adaptation for the Sega Genesis, as well as a spin-off comic book series. I don't know if I think you can see it in the shot. Geno actually got me. I think that's number 1, issue 1.
Yes.
We also created in 1995. The show's storyline continued from 2006 to 2009 in a comic book series of the same name, written by Weisman and produced by Slave Labor Graphics. The reason that was interesting, because when I was kind of digging into it, because season 1's like 13 episodes, and I think I'm on episode 10. Season 2 is like 52 episodes. It was weird watching the huge jump. But I guess when it goes to season 3, it's a different company, animated company or animation studio that was doing it. And a lot of people don't consider it canon, and they consider the comic book storyline more canon with it. So I'm kind of curious when I get to season 3, what's so bad about it, what's different about it. But having a blast. I forget, did you watch Gargoyles as a kid? I mean, 94 to 97, I would have been, 8 to 10. You probably were a little younger than that.
4 to 7, yeah. I remember watching it. I liked Gargoyles. It was definitely on that like cartoon block where it'd be, I don't know what else would have been on there when they had it on like Disney and stuff like that. But then didn't it like move to something else, like not Disney? Was it on like the same channel they had like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff on too?
I'm trying to remember if it went. I don't know if it ever went to, because Yu-Gi-Oh that was on Toonami. Oh no, was it? No, that was on Fox.
It was on Cartoon Network, but then I think it was Fox because they had the Kids WB.
Yeah. And I'm not sure where it went, but dude, the cool thing that I'm rewatching it is like it's weird that this was a Disney show, because I always forgot about it as a kid that it was Disney. I thought it was maybe more like Fox or something, because dude, it is dark. People are getting shot at. Like there's a point where she gets shot and you think she's gonna die. People are getting thrown off of buildings. The tone is really is badass actually, and the voice acting is like top shelf. I was looking up all the people that do it.
David Keith.
David Keith is Goliath. Ed Asner is it. Out of the other guys, one of them is Clarion from Young Justice. One of them is the dude that does Patrick's voice from SpongeBob. The other dude is the guy that does Johnny Bravo. So like the voice acting is top shelf. So like for me, and every review I find is just how good the show is. And I found one just to read. It said, "Really, has there been anyone better? I need to see that. It's almost unreal that Disney produces a series like this. Mythology, technology, action, drama, strong characters, great voice acting, Shakespeare references, breathtaking environment and tight story with no flaws or holes, all links together. That was the majority of every review that I find. That like there's not really anything bad to say about Gargoyles except for that last season not being up to par, and then you find out that it wasn't really the same company doing it. So I can't wait to run through it.
I'll say I'd have to look up the dates because I'm not 100% sure, but I remember always feeling like this was maybe their answer to Batman the Animated Series.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because having guns and stuff like that, obviously you wouldn't have it in a cartoon. You didn't really so much. I mean, you had like Looney Tunes stuff, but it wasn't dark. I don't remember anything until Batman. And I think Batman came before this, so I feel like this was like heavily inspired. I may be wrong, but
yeah. So if you're interested in it, it is now all 3 seasons are on Disney Plus. As far as what I've been playing, I'm jumping around between a lot of different things, but I did just pick up Mario and Luigi Brothership. Mario and Luigi Brothership is a 2024 role-playing video game developed by, acquired, and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Switch. It's the 6th main installment in the Mario and Luigi series, following Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Released November 7th, 2024.
Ooh, let me know what you think about that one.
Well, let me give you the setting real quick, and I'll give you my thoughts, because it's just to give you kind of the world that it's in. The game takes place in the world of Concordia, a formerly peaceful land held together by the power of a large tree known as the Uni Tree, and an energy called connector that flowed from giant lighthouses. Following a disaster to the Uni Tree, the world was separated into a series of islands floating in a vast sea, with one island as Shapeship Island due to resembling a ship, capable of moving around the sea and acting as the central hub for the game's story. Each island encompasses its own biome and theme, such as an artisan town and a land of ice and fire inhabited by tribes in each area. So I'm about 5 hours in, and it's not great so far. So yeah, I'm hoping it gets better. To me,
I've seen IGN gave it like a 5 or like a 3 or something.
Yeah, and I don't really give much credit to IGN these days, especially when they gave Penguin a 5. But I think they may be right with this game. Unfortunately, I was talking with Casey because Casey streams his Pokemon stuff live, and we were kind of chatting about it. Like, I wanted this game because that's why I was really excited when Super Mario RPG came back out. I'm like, oh, maybe when this game comes out, it'll kind of be more like a Mario RPG 2. And it's really not. What I don't like is that it's very kiddish. It feels like it's a very hold your hand RPG, and I'm like, can we just move past the fact that Mario's not just for kids? Like it's fun RPG to explore, especially because I'm playing Paper Jam right now on the DS, and it's just so far infinitely better. The combat is good. It does have timed hits like you expect from those the DS ones and Mario RPG. Right now I have one jump move and I have one hammer move, so if anybody is playing it, I have both of the brothers, I think they are, to start busting through stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at. The travel is kind of cool because you're on this ship. You can see how big this map can get, and the way you travel to these different places is you set like these paths, and then you can move through them by hitting different currents. So it'll take you to new places. Oh, okay. And then if you get close to things, you have a cannon that'll blast you into what you need to go to, and then once you finish the level, it'll warp you back. The cool thing I like is that there's this thing called Luigi Logic, where he comes up with cool stuff to do to try to get past obstacles and puzzles. So Luigi's following you the whole time, but when something comes up that you need to like separate, you can hold L and Luigi will go do it with you, so he moves in tandem with you. And there's puzzles and stuff you need to do where Luigi and Mario can like throw things back and forth to each other. Looking it up, the game's like 35 hours. I'm definitely going to try to see it through. It's just for me right now, I'm like, dude, this is kind of boring. It's more of a kid game, and I don't know if this game turns out to be bad, then at this point I think I might be done with Mario games, man, because it's like I don't know what else to do. I bought it on I have a hard copy of it. I didn't buy it digital, so if it's something you want to check out or Geno wants to check out, I'm more than happy to let you guys give it a go.
I'll wait for your opinion first.
Yeah, so it's 35 hours in, I'm 5, so maybe I'll have it done by the time we do the next episode. Again, I'm still playing like Black Ops 6 and things like that, but hopefully it's done and hopefully it gets better, because in the beginning it even shows like Peach and Bowser looking around when things start getting crazy, but since as much as I've played, I haven't even seen them again, and I don't even really know who the main enemy is, and all the characters look lame. Like, it's based on the Concordia. It's like this electrical thing, so all these people have like plugs on their head. They look like cheap Pokemon. And I'm just like, I don't like any of the new characters. There's nothing exciting about these guys. Like, how hard is it to make something that looks cool instead of just being this lame kind of gimmick theme?
I kind of hate that about Nintendo because I think that's like one of their rules, or has been some of the rules for some of the newer games lately, is if you make it, I don't think you can use like existing characters, and you're not really allowed to push the boundaries of whatever. That's why like Origami King, there's not like too many familiar faces, but at least they use familiar enemies. You could give me a different Shy Guy, and he doesn't have to have the same name or something like that. It's when they go out and do weird stuff like that. I understand you don't want to keep using the same things, but that's what people love, is this world that you built, that I don't understand why you don't expand that. And yeah, you're doing some weird like current whatever, you know, why couldn't that have been one world out of something?
Well, because even if you look at like the Paper Marios and stuff, all those games have really cool new enemies. And even if all the old Mario and Luigi games like Superstar Saga, Bowser's Inside Story, Paper Jam, it's cool enemies and stuff and cool new things that you're seeing so far. And I've played all of those. So far playing this one, there's nothing that's new that they brought that I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So it's like, it's really cool to see it now playing on the Switch. It's nice playing it because I dock it and I play with a controller, a Pro controller. But I'm like, I've had more fun on the DS and I've had more fun with the Paper Mario so far than I'm having with this game. So I'm hoping the next hour or two changes my lightness of it, because I really, really want to like this game. And if it's going to be a 35-hour slog fest, then I'm just like, ugh. I don't want to dread playing it.
It sounds fun. It sounds like you had more fun fighting the animated stapler and the hole punch from Origami King than these things.
Yeah, so far. So that's what we've been playing, guys. That's what we've been watching. Leave down in the comments below what you guys have been up to. So with that done out of the way, guys, let's move into our main topic, and that is going to be Kojima-centric. So as of right now, Kojima Productions has acquired Death Stranding IP and rights. So I'm going to read this for you guys real quick to kind of catch you up, and then we'll kind of dive into the Kojima aspect of it and then Death Stranding itself. So Death Stranding is 5 years old, and its rights have been delivered back to Kojima Productions. Director Hideo Kojima revealed that the news today, telling press like IGN his studio now has full ownership of the IP from original publisher 505 Games. To further mark the occasion, Kojima Productions has released the game's director's cut on Xbox Series X and S and Amazon Luna. In Kojima's announcement, he affirmed the studio would bring the Death Stranding property to more platforms and audiences. Last year, he revealed his company was working with A24 on a live-action film that will explore the titular Death Stranding event. Death Stranding originally released in November 2019 on PlayStation 4, followed by Windows and PlayStation 5 in 2020 and 2021. It was the first game from Kojima following his public split from Konami with the Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. The game saw critical acclaim with its initial release, and many noted how it became unexpectedly timely due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Commercially, Death Stranding has sold 5 million copies as of mid-2021. Kojima Productions recently noted it's earned 19 million players across PlayStation consoles and PC, and a sequel is currently in production for the PlayStation 5. This is also the second IP that 505 Games has relinquished this year. In February, Remedy Entertainment took full ownership of its Supernatural title Control as part of its push to turn that game into a larger franchise, which presently spans a sequel, a multiplayer spin-off, and potential film or TV adaptation. So, yeah, again, so it's a lot of stuff that was happening. It just recently happened, which was pretty cool. So again, I want to kind of break it into the two parts. One that of Kojima getting the IP back, and then Death Stranding kind of going to Xbox. So first, it's a huge win, especially how they were looking at it, that there was a lot of this controversy with Kojima and Konami when they split, because even though Konami owns the rights, the IP for Metal Gear, there's nobody in the world that's played it that doesn't associate Kojima with Metal Gear. And a
Hideo Kojima production.
Hideo Kojima production. So I mean, and Metal Gear Solid is all his ideas, it's all his concepts. I believe he actually got fired because I was looking up just to see if he had any particular rights at all, you know, in one way or another, being a producer on it, being a creator on it. And what I just found is that he doesn't own the rights to Metal Gear and thus cannot make them anymore. And Kojima was fired from Konami, who retains the rights to Metal Gear Solid games in 2015. So it's unfortunate that he lost something like that, but you know he's been trying to get this stuff off the ground. And when you're on a tour like he is, it's very rare, if not impossible, for somebody to take IP away from the company. IP is the name of the game, but when you're Kojima and you're the person who makes Game of the Year quality year after year, he's not going to be the guy you want to get on his bad side, because then because I think even the new game, was it OD that he's making with Xbox? So it's like, if he's going to be making future games, you don't really want, I wouldn't say piss him off, but you wouldn't want to deny him something like that, especially after the controversy he went through.
You agree with his deal, yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that he's getting his stuff back, it really kind of more, I think, pushes it towards, he wants to do more multimedia stuff. If you know anything about him, you know that he makes his games very movie-like. So the fact that he's doing multimedia and he's doing shows, and now that he's getting it stuff back, and I think moving forward, he's probably still going to be maybe returning rights to more IP.
Even working with big actors like Guillermo del Toro, or what's his name from Death Stranding?
God damn it! Why is Ed Norton stuck in my head?
Go ahead. And I'll
so
we met him.
Yeah,
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus. I knew there was an N in there somewhere. So I think it's really cool that he's got it back, and again, I think there's really a few handful of people that could have asked for it and got it, and he's definitely one of the guys. So before diving into Death Stranding itself, what do you think about Kojima getting the IP back and his company kind of moving forward with it?
Well, actually, first, I kind of want to start with, because you wrote it, because you said it, and I actually had it written down, because you don't get to use that word too much. An auteur, like him, like himself, because there's only a few people like that in the industry. Kojima, obviously, being one of the biggest ones. I would say probably like David Cage at Quantic Dream.
Shigeru Miyamoto, Nintendo.
Sam Lake over at Remedy, definitely very on the forefront. But I think the only other person who does multi-stuff that I would actually say would probably be bigger than Kojima right now currently, but doesn't present himself like Kojima, would actually be Hidetaka Miyazaki over at From Software with Dark Souls. I guarantee you, if they owned the rights to Bloodborne, there would already be more than one. And that's definitely the kind of company that if they come to you with a deal and he's like, I want to keep this, especially after the success that Elden Ring was, you just say yes to whatever whatever it is that they're demanding. I think it's really cool that he got his IP, and it's definitely something. What's even more interesting is that I wonder if this is something that he came back and was like, you know what, I want this and I want to take it somewhere else, and they were willing to relinquish it, because I know at the time it sold good, but it wasn't like the 10 out of 10 they were hoping for. Some people thought it was 10s. It was a little bit of a mixed review. Or if this is something that was from the beginning, because this news broke actually 5 years to the date that this released on PlayStation. So this could have been the deal from the get-go. Just hey, you can do whatever. I want to get my studio jump started. I want to own the IP. You can keep it exclusive, but we're only going to do something for 5 years. And I'm sure Sony was just like, okay, cool, we'll do whatever. And like you were saying, the Xbox game, I have no delusions now that game is just going to be an Xbox exclusive. That I don't think it'll be a 5-year deal, but it's probably going to be some sort of time thing before it comes to something else. Yeah. Especially after seeing something like this.
Yeah, because I think he definitely wants to just partner up with more people, and he's been with PlayStation for just so long. So that's as far as the Kojima stuff goes, unless there's anything else you want to add on top of that. So then the other kind of half of the story is that Death Stranding kind of shadow dropped on Xbox, and no one saw this coming. At least I definitely did. I didn't hear whispers about it. And then, but when you think about, like Andrew was saying, when you think about the date, it was very plausible that something probably could have happened. But yeah, I don't think anyone did. I think this is a huge... it's a great shot in the arm for Xbox fans, and I think a lot of people, if you want to look at it a certain way, feel like it's this win where they think they're losing a lot of Xbox first-party games to PlayStation. It's kind of like, oh, we've got one of yours. And there's a couple of things that I think were really good about this. The smart thing that I think it did is it didn't go straight to Game Pass. I think that was a great move. Game Pass is an odd place sometimes, because when games launch on it, they get paid a certain amount. The studio gets paid for the game, and then it is on Game Pass, and we all know that Microsoft wants and Xbox want Game Pass to be the place to go. But with that being said, it's a dice roll of knowing how much you could have made or potentially how much you could have lost. So I think it's smart to say, if we keep more PlayStation second party titles, let's see how much we can actually make off of them instead of just dumping on them on Game Pass. And with that being said, I think it was really cool that the director's cut, I believe it was it instantly on sale for $19.99?
Yes.
So it was 50% off, right? The game.
I think it still is.
Yeah, so it's like $40, but right now they launched it with $20. So I think it was a really cool idea that not only did they not put it on Game Pass, it came the full package, the director's cut, launched for $19.99 is what you can get it right now. So that's kind of where I'll mark that. What do you think about Death Stranding coming, and your thoughts on it?
I bought it for $20. Sure, why not? And
what a great price, man, for a game of the year.
And I feel like that makes me feel better too as a consumer, that I'm more likely to jump in versus, let's say, when I'm a sucker and I'll still buy it, but when Final Fantasy VII eventually does come to Xbox, or 16 does come to Xbox, even Silent Hill next year, a year after it's already been out, when it does come to Xbox eventually, I'll pay full price for it. This makes me feel a lot better, especially something being like 5 years old, which would be more the Final Fantasy VII situation. If and when those do come, those are something I'd still buy full price, but I'm going to talk shit about it, versus if you give me some sort of bundle or some sort of deal or something like this. And I thought what was even odder is, even when it launching at $39.99, it is still $49.99 for this game on PlayStation.
Oh, is it really? Okay, I didn't check the PlayStation.
I thought that was even like bigger, almost like FU to PlayStation, is that it is more expensive over there, even without the discount.
Yeah, and I think it's really. Do you like that they didn't put it on Game Pass? Because I think it's a testing waters to see if we get more second party games, are people willing to buy them?
I didn't think about it, but I do love that it's not on Game Pass. As it's not a game that needed it. It's a big name. It's something from Kojima, and I like that. Okay, we'll just do the discount set, because we can tread water now and see what the real sales numbers and sales figures are. But I like on the inverse too, that hopefully Xbox wasn't like, hey, like, whatever, let's spend all this money on this game that's already going to sell itself, and now we can put that budget that we would have spent to have it on Game Pass, we'll put it towards something else, you know?
Yeah, and I wanted to read this too, because interestingly, Death Stranding had a peculiar publishing agreement compared to other PlayStation second-party games, where Sony published the game on PS4 and PS5.
It does have the splash screen.
Yeah, but 505 Games published it everywhere else, and then now Kojima Studios is the one publishing it. So yeah, it does. It's confirmed, because I haven't looked at it yet. It does have the PlayStation splash screen.
Yeah, just like the MLB The Show does.
Okay, and the other thing too is that's interesting, and I'm not sure if we've pinpointed it, is the system that they run, the Decima system, I believe is Sony owned, and Death Stranding runs on it. So I think what they were saying is, now that it's playing on Xbox, they get a cut of that because it's using their engine, which I think is an interesting way too. But just in case people are kind of confused about the second party games, I'm sure a lot of you already know what it is, but the concept is, so a first party game would be like PlayStation owning Santa Monica Studios. Santa Monica Studios makes God of War. That is a first party Umbrella owned game by Sony. A third party game would be like Ubisoft making Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, and it goes to every platform. Second party games are games that are made by studios that could potentially make games for any platform, but there's an exclusive right to that particular game staying on that platform. So even though Death Stranding was only on PlayStation, since it wasn't owned by PlayStation, it wasn't first party, and Kojima Studios can make games for other studios, but that game was locked in. So that's what's considered a second party game, if anybody was confused about how that kind of works, because it's a lot of language that they throw around that I think most people don't really kind of separate the difference, and that's what's interesting about it. So the fact that now it's not a second party game anymore, it's technically a third party game, because now it's on Xbox, it's on PC, and it's on PlayStation. It's got a really kind of weird life of what it's been going through. And the other interesting question too now is Death Stranding 2. I don't think it's been confirmed, but we know that it's coming. We saw a trailer. I don't know if it was earlier this year or last year that it's coming. I don't think it's been confirmed that it's not going to be anywhere else but PlayStation. So I'm assuming that they probably still have a timed exclusivity deal on it. But now I'm thinking, okay, I don't know if it'll be as long as 5 years, but there's no doubt in my mind that at some point it's going to be on Xbox now.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything on there when it dropped saying anything about exclusivity. And again, that'd be an interesting thing. Maybe at the time, again, this had to have been in the works. That's just
there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that like we can guess at, but something had to have been built into this thing.
But I do wonder if they would do a time exclusive or just let it drop at the same time, because at this point, I don't think Sony would let that happen. I think Sony's
I don't want to say pissed that it's probably on Xbox, but I think it's still going to be this game that they want to be flagship for PlayStation for as long. It's the same reason why Final Fantasy. It's like Square Enix is now starting to get out of this timed exclusivity deal with them because like they get pissed that these games don't sell as much. And when you look at Death Stranding Game of the Year, only selling 5 million copies. How much could it have? But when you make these deals with Sony, that's what Sony does. And so, I mean, I would like it if it was day one, but I have a hard time thinking Sony didn't have that deal already in place of saying, hey, when you make this series, it's going to be here first.
Yeah, we'll see. And who knows? That could be part of the thing, too, is... We'll give you
deals are baked in.
We'll give you this money for this to be exclusive or whatever, and maybe it wasn't even on a time. It could have been, okay, it is on a time thing. If we don't hit this sales goal by this time frame after so long, then the IP reverts to you. If we do above and beyond that, then you agree to keep it with that. Who knows? Like, there's just so many interesting things that I kind of really wish they would have came out and said. It's something I don't think we'll ever know.
Yeah.
But either way, just super interesting because I don't think we've really had anything like this.
No, it's definitely this kind of one-of-a-kind thing that's happening. So I think most of these articles are from, like, the 8th. So hopefully maybe over the next week or two, more is going to come out about
I'm saying
it.
I still haven't seen nothing. I was just looking at it earlier today.
I think probably closer to the release of Death Stranding 2 is probably when we will see more of what the deal is, what it incorporates in it. So, I don't know. Was there anything else you wanted to add on Death Stranding or Hideo Kojima?
No, I bought it. I'm definitely going to play it.
Is that going to be your next game?
I think by the time I'm done with Metaphor, I won't have time for this because I think Indiana Jones comes out soon. I have to double check the date.
I just pre-installed it.
That I don't want to start a large game between that, so it'll probably be after Indiana Jones because I don't think there's anything else after that.
Yeah, December's probably going to be a lot of big pickup games and stuff like that.
Backburns, yeah.
Alright, guys, so let us know your thoughts on Death Stranding and Kojima owning his property. So yeah, I'm sorry if there's a little cut. It's just because if you guys remember our last episode, the camera stopped. So we just did a quick pause real quick to make sure everything is running smoothly for you. So yeah, so we were saying Palworld is getting sued by Nintendo. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with it, Palworld it says upcoming, so this might be older, is an action-adventure, survival, and monster training game created and published by Japanese developer Pocket Pair. The game is set in an open world populated with animal-like creatures called pals, which players can battle and capture to use for base building, traversal, and combat. It is now out on the PS5, Xbox One, Series X, and S, GeForce Now, Windows, and Mac operating system. So you can really play this thing anywhere. This story doesn't really interest me too much. I played Palworld, so I'm going to read a lot of what's going on with it, and then Andrew, you can dive in and let me know, because I think you said you had some specific notes on it. So
yeah,
let me read this for you guys and just kind of catch you up of what's going on. Several weeks ago, it was announced that after months of seemingly building a case, Nintendo was suing Pocket Pair makers of Palworld for some sort of unknown patent infringement. Now we have more deals on what exactly is going on there. Pocket Pair has just announced that Nintendo is demanding 10 million yen plus late payment damages from them. I would not expect anyone to know this math offhand, but 10 million yen is about 66,000 US dollars. No, that is not missing any zeros, and yes, this is Palworld, a game that sold 25 million units, is insane, across PC and Xbox as of June. In other words, that's pocket change, depending on what the late payment damages may be. Where things get weird is what patents were actually violated, as there are ones that most people would have no idea. Nintendo even owns, including Pocket Pair, apparently. The first patent is about aiming and firing some sort of item towards a character in a field. The second patent is something about being able to capture creatures in the wild. The third patent is about riding creatures in an open world and transitioning between the creatures. Now, it goes on in an IGN article to say that Pocket Pair said Nintendo and Pokemon Company are seeking an injunction against the game in compensation for a portion of the damages incurred between the date of registration of the patents and the date of filing of the lawsuit, which was September 18th of 2024. Pocket Pair has vowed to take on Nintendo and the Pokemon Company in court, saying we will continue to assert our position in this case through future legal proceedings. So it's a weird thing, and when I was hearing it, I'm like, I think a lot of people, when you watch Palworld, were under the assumption that how are you getting away with this? I mean, there's, like they said, there's other capture monster games, but everybody looking at this thing was like, oh, dude, this is ripping off Pokemon in a way, But when you actually play it, it's very different. Did you ever get into Palworld? Did you ever
No,
play it at all?
I saw it once. I didn't play it once I started. Once I saw the build your whole area, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
So yeah, because once it gets into the building aspect of it, and even like the throwing of the balls, when and if this is what I remember, because I only played it for a bit, it's not even like Pokemon where you go to a store and buy it. You literally have to craft it. So even that system is very different. So that's for me. I'm just catching you guys up on what was going on. Andrew, was there anything else that stands out to you or anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I kind of just want to bring up, I think they're saying, too, the whole reason they're even filing this, because it doesn't seem like a lot of money, is to halt the sales of this game. Now, it's important to note, like Craig said, that they did not file these patents until around, recently this year. I think in, June, July, a little bit after, maybe even August.
How
I
do you
think
get
they
that
said
patent?
when it was finished. One, I don't know how you patent some of these things, because some of the patents are, like you said, riding a beast. The one for capturing, I agree with, because you can see the patent on there, and it's them throwing the Pokeball, and then they have the design of the ball on there. So that's a fully drawn sketch out thing that's on there. But they have some other weird ones on there that aren't even anything that they would have created. One of them, a patent on racing simulations and cars colliding within each other while you're racing. Another's an HD or a HUD, that's your screen telling you where to go with your character.
Your heads-up display.
The laser in a shooting game being on a gun. A circle being under the main player that you're controlling, so you know who it is that you're controlling.
See, how?
And that's been in games since, I don't
Gauntlet,
know. Gauntlet's the first thing I think of. So I don't understand how they're doing some of these patents. Not to mention, like I said, they didn't file them until this year. Palworld came out last year on, was it last year or 2 years ago?
I think the preview was at least a year or two ago, yeah.
So it's already been out forever. So how do you try to sue them retroactively? I know this year it just hit PlayStation and I think Switch just recently. So I'm assuming maybe that's kind of what they're going after, and that's where they're trying to stop the sales. Now, I think these kind of patents are, I don't know how it works in Japan, or if this is a global thing, are a little bit ridiculous. I don't understand how you patent something that's not, obviously he's not using a Pokeball. It'd be almost like saying you couldn't have, I don't know, some other JRPG where your characters take turns attacking the enemy, but then now it's the enemy's turn or whatever. How do you patent something like that that's a general idea that anyone could use? Same with a shooting game. How do you patent multiplayer games where people are on an enemy team and now they're shooting at you? How do you even do something like that? Now, I don't specifically love Pear Pocket because they do deserve to get sued, but not for copyright infringement.
Yeah.
So a lot of those Pokemon...
Yeah, which is a whole separate issue.
I don't know what they're called. I don't know if they're just called Pals or whatever it is that they're called in Palworld. A lot of those things are just straight up rip-offs of Pokemon and certain recolors. I've even seen people put up 1-to-1 with another Pokemon and it's an exact match. They just change the color palette and maybe add a tail or a set of ears or change something up with it. So they definitely do deserve to be sued for something, but it's going to be for copyright infringement, not some sort of patent.
Yeah, it seems like they're kind of going after the weird thing. And then too, what number how did you land on 66,000? This game that's making hundreds of millions of dollars. If you're, because we all know Nintendo's very litigious with their legality and all this stuff. It's they will go after you for the bare minimum, but it's
anything.
But make it seem accurate. 66,000 for these patent breaks is kind of weird. But again,
that's the only conclusion is that they're doing it to try to halt, because I think until they're paid, or if this does proceed, I think they have to halt sales of this game. And again, this game just came to PlayStation and Nintendo, so that would halt any previous sale or any sales going further. I don't even know if it would stop whatever on Xbox or PC, since that's already from before the patent. It's such a weird situation that I agree partly with Nintendo and partly with them, but for completely different reasons.
So yeah, that's about as much as I think I have on it. Is there anything else you want to add on it?
No, that's it, and that's kind of what I want to bring. It's just so bizarre.
Both of these stories are just kind of weird things that Palworld gets sued by Nintendo for the wrong thing, and then we have somebody like Kojima taking back IP that almost never happened. So
it makes me think of that.
Get it?
What was the game thing that we used to watch all the time? I forgot what it is. The little documentary.
Game School?
No, the little documentary thing with
With Dan Ackerman. Oh, Geno will be rolling in his grave right now.
I cannot remember. Play Values. The one on copyright. If any of you guys have never seen him, there used to be a channel, God rest their soul, and I love them more than anything, even though I haven't watched them in a while, called Play Value, and they talk about like a lot of different things. So one of them is copyright and copyright infringement in games. And so then they were talking about how companies were trying to rip off like a driving game, saying that, oh, well, you could take a different turn and it's different for every person, the journey you take. But no, it's just a straight ripoff versus the difference between someone trying to sue whoever for the difference between King Kong and Donkey Kong.
I think if you're a gamer and you like watching some history, I think everybody should watch Play Values.
For sure. You used to watch them religiously every day.
Yeah, so definitely go check those out. So leave down in the comments below.
Shout out to you, Dan Ackerman.
Dan Ackerman, still rocking and rolling. Leave down in the comments below, guys, what your thoughts are on this. So now that we're done with that, guys, we'll do questions of the week. If you guys want to submit a question, Andrew and I can answer it on the show for you. You can do so a couple of different ways. You can leave it in the bottom of the YouTube comments. We can grab it there. You can email us at lastcallproductions@gmail.com, or you can find me on social media at Craig Perales, and I can take them there. And we're just going to do one right now for today. So this question comes from Josh Tanner, and he writes, 1 down, 2 to go. We are in the big 3 holidays, with Halloween behind us and Thanksgiving and Christmas still to come. I'm curious where you guys rank the 3 in order of your favorites and why. For me, it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, and then Halloween, mainly because I love to travel and see family. So I like this question, and I was thinking about it, and Andrew jumped in after, as I think there's 2 different ways I looked at it. Because as a kid, I put it as Halloween first, because it was really cool, especially in the later days before you were kind of done. It was more cool getting with your friends to trick-or-treat than it was going with your parents. And it was all about what the score you were going to get, because Christmas was coming regardless, but it was up to you on Halloween to get your candy fill.
I feel like Halloween was very different in the 90s than it is now.
Yeah, and I'd argue that too, 100%, because there was times at the end when it was just me, Geno, and like 5 friends going around.
I'm 6 years old walking around by myself.
It was awesome. And then Christmas, obviously, I put it number 2 as a kid, because it was just about getting the presents, and there's so many times where waking up as a kid, had the Super Nintendo, had PlayStation, it was awesome. And then third, I put Thanksgiving, because as a kid, it was all adults and stuff, and yeah, you get to eat, but you're not really doing anything. It's more seeing your family members seeing family members and you being the kid there. As an adult, I kind of switched it to Thanksgiving now. I like the most, because I have 3 a year that I go to, so I like seeing a bunch of people, especially if I don't see them as often as I should. Halloween I put as number 2, because it's kind of, I need to buy into the concept of the social contract that I need to put out candy, but I don't have a kid, so I don't take anyone trick-or-treating. And in this particular neighborhood, there's not really kids that go, because like Andrew was saying, it's different from the 90s. There's kind of more designated areas. So for me, it's like, oh, I don't really have to do anything. I don't have to take a kid, and I don't have to set it up. And then,
I gave it out last year, and it was for the first time ever, and it was one of the best feelings.
Oh, nice. And I can't wait to have that feeling. But here, so like this year, I went with Geno, and we walked Grayson around, and it was fun. And then last, I put Christmas, because as an adult, it's not really getting the presents anymore as you did as a kid. It's now buying presents for everybody, and it's still, they're all 10s, but as an adult, I feel like Christmas is the one that's like, oh, it's coming up again. Who do I have to buy for? And one of the cool things that we do is Kayleen, shout out to Kayleen, set up the Secret Santa thing that puts like 8 of us in it. So it kind of takes the pressure off of getting something for all 8 of these people, because we've all kind of acknowledged that the Secret Santa is who you get, is what you spend the money on. So that's kind of how I looked at it. How do you look at it? Did it change from as a kid to an adult, or what would you say your favorites are in order, and why?
Yeah, I think so too. I think as a kid, I used to like Halloween the most. I think that's the only thing that switched. So for me, I would say Christmas is my favorite, and it doesn't really have to do with gifts. I don't live by my part of my family, so I drive out there every year. I go out there 4 hours. I drive 4 hours, hang out, sometimes just for the day even, and then I'll do a turnaround trip to get back in here at like 5 a.m. so that way I could open everything at my mom's house with my brothers and sisters, and then we'll go to Christina's family and spend time with them and kind of do whatever through the rest of the day. So I think that still is my favorite, even though doing the driving, it's just getting to see my family. Family's always been super important to me. I have a really big family, so I try to see them as much as possible, and that's just one of the days that I always get to see them. Halloween, by far, is the best month, though. The best movies are on TV. it's hotter now than I think it ever used to be. But like when I lived in California, especially the special memories of it being cool, being fall. I loved walking down the street and there's just tree leaves everywhere, all the dead leaves and stuff like that. Aesthetics, it's great. I definitely too. I get jealous online, and I want to be one of those people that have this cool house that I'm just sitting in my garage and I have all these cool fucking decorations. And it's even if it's just something like I've seen people do like Mario, or someone did theirs is like Halo themed where it's like the Arbiter, and then they have like they have like an inflatable Warthog and stuff like that. Just something like that. I want to be that person that just sits out there and hands out candy, because to me that's always been really cool, and I really like that. And Thanksgiving, not that I.
Is it always last on your list?
It's always been last on my list. I love the food, and it's all about the food, and I obviously seeing the family. But Halloween, dude, that's just 30 days. Even too, you could go anywhere. You could go stay at a hotel in Vegas. You can go stay at the cheapest hotel ever. You go to your dentist, and there's some sort of scary movie or scary something. And horror's my absolute favorite genre that I love. There's all time. I think like last year I seen a couple old horror movies that I had never seen, because Christina went for like a work convention, and I was watching like Twilight Zone, the movie with like Christopher. I was like, I'd never seen it. I'm like, all right, cool, it's on. We're just gonna watch this bad boy right now.
I'd say, and that's the thing. I think Halloween and Christmas have definitely looks. November, Thanksgiving kind of maybe does, but for me, I like the Christmas vibe more than the Halloween vibe. And for the exact reasons you like it, just the opposite way. Like I love that it gets cooler. Because one of the coolest things, especially. I mean, there's not a ton of people that do it here, but like when you go on YouTube and you watch the way people set up their lights and how balls to the wall people go with it. I just already watched. I watched Christmas Story already, and I've already watched Polar Express.
Christina's already watching Santa Claus.
Yeah, so for me, same as Andrew, just coat it with Christmas. And the only thing I will say that I don't like is that Christmas starts too early for people. It starts in November, and it's like, I don't think it should.
The day after Thanksgiving is the soonest you should ever.
Yeah, and exactly, yeah. And then the music starts too soon. And it's the same 5 Mariah Carey songs. But I love Michael Bublé. So the music for me is what gets annoying, but Christmas, the vibe of Christmas, I think is still the best.
I wish I could just write like a one-hit wonder Christmas song and just live off that money the rest of my life. Go down in history.
So guys, let us know in the comments down below what your favorite holidays are between the big 3, so properly named. And make sure you guys join us next time for episode 206. And until then, guys, my name is Craig Perales. That is Mandrew Montemare. Cheers.
We'll see you out there.